set the cruise control here. My radar cruise control. I am currently... come on, let me clip the mic. All right, I'm gonna pin it up here in the visor. And we'll see how this works. So my mouth isn't aimed exactly right at the microphone at the moment, but hopefully it'll pick it up. I am cruising down Texas Highway 87 right now. I am along the Gulf Coast. The Gulf of Mexico is currently to my right as I travel northeast. We are on the Bolivar Peninsula, and I'm at work right now. I work for the Houston Museum of Natural Sciences, y'all know, and I am on a work. It's a work day, and we decided let's go birding. Let's go bird watching. Down near Galveston in the Bolivar Peninsula, Bolivar, however you want to pronounce it. So yeah, that's what we're doing. There's a bunch of cows grazing in a field left to me. This is a very kind of coastal Texas setting here, if you can imagine. Very flat. You got the ocean on one side, you got cows on the other. A lot of houses, a lot of beach houses. That's kind of the what we got going on here right now. So yes, we are bird watching. We came down, I don't even know, since I'm not a birder, I don't know exactly and specifically what we came down here to see, but it's fun nonetheless. I've got my cargo pants on and my fishing t-shirt, which is basically just a long sleeve shirt that breathes really well to protect you from the sun. My solar powered fan hat. There's basically a solar panel on the top of the hat that runs a little fan that blows air over the top of my bald head. But it's very pleasant. Right now it is a perfect, what temperature is it outside? It is 70 degrees outside right now. 70 degrees, sunny. I wish I had video to go along with this video, or with this podcast here. But anyways, that's my setting. I'm trying to paint the picture in your mind a little bit for you. But what I actually wanted to talk about today, I got a message on X from my good friend Asaf, who is from Israel. He lives in Tel Aviv. He is safe right now. But yeah, thoughts and prayers if you are the type to pray and keep people in your thoughts. Pray for Asaf. That's a difficult situation down there, to say the least. And I don't mean to make an understatement about it or diminish the severity of it, but yeah. So anyways, he sent me a message on X basically asking about gaming handheld PCs specifically, the Steam Deck, the other devices that are coming out. So, you know, GPD releases a lot of handheld gaming PCs. I've got my GPD WinMax 2 that I've had since 2022, 2023. When did the first GPD WinMax 2 come out? Because there's this 2024 version coming out now with the, I believe it's the 7840U from AMD. My GPD WinMax 2 is the 6800U, and the GPU is the 6800M. Absolutely fantastic handheld gaming PC. So anyways, Asaf was asking me about handheld gaming PCs. He wants to buy one for somebody, and if I had any experience with them, or what has been my experience thus far. And I told him what I want to tell all of y'all, that I have experience with the Steam Deck, and I have experience with GPD Pockets, the GPD WinMax 2, and other GPD devices, and I also have the Asus ROG Ally with the Z1 Extreme processor in there, which I think is just a kind of a differently binned, it's very slightly different from the 7840U, whatever. It's the Z1 Extreme is functionally very similar to another one of AMD's chips. It's just kind of more efficient or whatever. I did an episode on the ROG Ally and the Z1 Extreme a few months ago from Virginia. So anyways, I told Asaf I had a lot of experience with the ROG Ally and GPD devices, and other Windows handhelds, and Android handhelds for that matter, and Raspberry Pis and all sorts of things. So the ROG Ally, that was my recommendation to him. I said, the Steam Deck's great, everything else is great, but I live with the ROG Ally, the Z1 Extreme Edition, and it is absolutely fantastic. He said one of his requirements was, one of his on the wish list here was that he would be able to, or the person he's getting it for would be able to use it as a PC. What has my experience been plugging a gaming handheld and using it as a everyday PC? And I told him, it functions great as a workstation. The ROG Ally Z1 Extreme, I was very specific. I said, if you are going to get an Ally, this is kind of my advice to anybody, if you're going to get an ROG Ally, get the Z1 Extreme version. Don't get the cheaper Z1 version. You really want the Z1 Extreme version because that has a much better GPU, among other things. But yeah, the graphical horsepower of the Z1 Extreme is night and day more powerful than the normal Z1 version. So I recommend the Z1 Extreme. I have the Z1 Extreme. I kind of wanted to do a follow-up podcast on my experience using the ROG Ally with the Z1 Extreme as how it functions as a kind of a daily driver, and I can report that it functions perfectly. What I told us off, and what I tell all y'all too, is it pairs so beautifully with my Thunderbolt dock, my Thunderbolt hub, Type-C hub, all of that. So I have all my external hard drives running properly. I've got all my peripherals plugged in. So I've got dual monitors running off of my Thunderbolt dock, 4K 60. Absolutely wonderful. I am backing up here in a minivan, which is, hold on, I'm trying to get out of the way of my coworker's big old truck. Because we obviously pulled down the wrong street. So you're hearing me backing up a minivan while I talk to you about the Z1 Extreme. I need to see if I might need to roll down the window and talk to Mike. If I do, I will probably just let y'all in on our discussion, unless it's something proprietary, which I doubt it. I think literally we're just trying to go to the correct spot right now. But yeah, the Z1 Extreme functions beautifully as a daily driver workstation. I edit 4K videos with it. They're not super intensive edits. The 4K edits I've done on the ROG Ally Z1 Extreme are not like super intense 4K edits. They are very basic 4K edits, but it handles them like a breeze. Even if I use DaVinci Resolve, and DaVinci Resolve runs an absolute treat on the Z1 Extreme, on the ROG Ally Z1 Extreme Edition. 8 cores, 16 threads, that 680M GPU. I keep my GPU. You can dedicate as much of the RAM as you need to it. My Z1 Extreme, ROG Ally Z1 Extreme has 16 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM, and I allocate 3 gigabytes of it. Apparently, if you go, I set 3 gigabytes of it towards VRAM. That seems to be the sweet spot. Things that I've read on Reddit, things that you read around the internet, that's kind of the typical case here. Now, I'm going to strap this microphone to my shirt, and I'm going to walk up and see what we're doing with Mike here, team leader. We're basically at a bay right now. There's a bunch of egrets and cranes and seabirds and things. But yeah, let me clip this to my shirt real quick and let's go candid. Let's talk to Mike. Let's see what's going on. Bring you along with me for this podcast here. All right, I'm exiting my vehicle. Did I turn it off? Turn it off so it doesn't beep at me as I get out here. All right, let's see what's going on. Definitely on private property. Let's see. What up?
So we're looking for the vagrant, the lifer. It's the long spur, colored long spur. This is the one that was on the news, and everyone said people just saw it here. Oh, of course there's two.
All right, I'll wait for all.
All right, cool, dude.
Cool. You got? All right. So we're just plugging in the new coordinates. Apparently we went the wrong direction, but it's not a big deal. Everything's kind of, well, I was going to say everything's kind of nearby down here. That is not the truth at all. The Texas coastline goes for hundreds of miles. But we are, I don't know if you heard in the conversation that we just had, we're 19 minutes away from our next stop to look for the Chestnut Ridge Chestnut, whatever. Oh, there goes a barge. I should be recording video of this. There goes a barge over there. Anyways, all right. Back to the Z1 Extreme. I've been using it. Ooh, Mike. Oh, he just drove over a big old brick. It's fine. A railroad piece of railroad wood. I don't know what railroad tie. It's not a tie. Is it a tie? Yeah, railroad tie. You drive a spike into it in the rails. All right. Anyways, Mike drove over it, and I think he knocked over a sign. I don't know. But anyways, we're 19 minutes away from apparently where we need to go next, or where we should be. I think we're going to post up there once we get there and eat some lunch. Sorry. Back to ROG Ally. In my experience daily driving, I have edited 4K video with it. I have allocated, as I was mentioning before I got out of the vehicle, that I said it, the sweet spot on the 16 gigabyte model seems to be setting the VRAM, allocating 3 gigabytes to VRAM. That leaves, 12, 13 gigabytes left over for Windows to use and for games to use. 3 gigabytes seems to be the sweet spot. I usually, when I'm in handheld mode, and that's one of the reasons why I recommend the ROG Ally to anybody curious right now, out of all the crop of current handhelds. You can get a Z1 Extreme and a Z1. Don't get a Z1, but I'm just saying both of the models are frequently on sale. Asaf in Israel said that he saw one for sale for the equivalent of less than $500 for a Z1 Extreme, and I was like, yeah, that's a bargain all day long. So yes, it is a little bit more expensive than a Steam Deck, but it is much, much, much more powerful than a Steam Deck. So when I have it hooked up in workstation mode to my Thunderbolt hub, and I've got the dual screen monitors and OLED displays and all my hard drives and hooked up to the NAS and all sorts of whatever, it works beautifully as my work PC all day long, up to and including editing 4K videos. 1080p videos wouldn't even break a sweat. 4K videos, it is more than doable, and I have a very pleasant time when I edit 4K video on my ROG Ally. So, but when I'm done for the day and I unhook it, I don't need it running, obviously, the screen in it is like a 1200p screen. I don't think it's definitely not 4K, but I think it's 1200. If not 19 by 20, I gotta look it up. Anyways, in handheld mode, when I undock it, when I unplug it from the Thunderbolt hub, I like to run it in 720p because it's a 7-inch screen. I'm almost certain it's a 7-inch screen this time. I went back and double checked. 7-inch screen and 720p, 7 inches, quite frankly, looks great. And you save a bit on the battery life. Looking from 720p to 1080p on that screen I can't tell a whole mess of difference. I'm usually running emulators anyways. Super Mario Brothers 3 isn't really gonna look much better at 1080 as it does at 720 because I believe Super Mario Brothers native resolution is 200p, if that. Might not even be that. It's very low resolution, so Super Mario Brothers 3 NES at 720p looks fantastic. Fantastic. I don't think I could pull out this time. This is one of the things about, and this is kind of where more Geek Therapy Radio, on the cuff like this, gets kind of funny, is that now I'm at a T intersection here, and you're just hearing me vamp while I'm at a T intersection, a 2-lane interstate, and it's not even an interstate, it's just a Texas coastal highway. I am now probably half mile behind who I'm supposed to be following. So there we go. I'm getting the phone call from Mike right now. Let me see what he's got to say. What's up, Mike?
Hey, dude. I see you're back there a little bit.
Yeah.
We're Texas 87 for 13 miles.
Okay.
So you're on this for a spell.
All right. Yeah, man.
All right.
Just call me where you turn off, I guess.
Okay. Do you have your next turn on here? What is it? It's 87 until Yacht Basin.
Yeah. Oh.
So this is
okay.
Yeah.
So
this is the other.
Yeah. So I could just tell GPS take me to Yacht Basin.
Yes. 12 miles from here. Yeah. Yacht Basin.
Okay. Awesome.
All right.
Cool, man.
Cool, dude.
See you there.
All right, brother.
All right.
See you. Bye.
Bye. What's the speed limit here? I don't want to get a ticket. Is this a cop? No, that's just a Cadillac. Oh, it's listening to me. Take me to Yacht Basin. Here we go, 9 minutes. Google for the win. Oh, it's 55 miles an hour long here. Okay. So, back to ROG Ally. Where even freaking was I? Oh yeah, emulators look great at 720p. When I'm in handheld mode, I usually play at 720p. Even when I'm playing something like, oh gosh, what is it? Man, what's the game? Teardown. I've been playing, a lot of Teardown recently, especially with Riker. Teardown looks amazing and runs amazing on the ROG Ally. The other thing is, even at 720p, looks amazing, just wonderful. Did you know that Teardown, it looks amazing? Obviously, it looks amazing. It's kind of, I don't know, for somebody who's not kind of familiar, it's pixely, kind of like Minecrafty in my kind of way. It uses all these little blocks to build the world. Anyway, it's Teardown. It's amazing, and it looks amazing. And guess what? That one of the common questions that people ask about Teardown, I've seen in their Q&A on the website and everything, is what are you using for ray tracing? What is more efficient for the ray? Should I use AMD for the ray tracing, or are you more coded towards NVIDIA's ray tracing and all that? And the response from the studio that makes Teardown, which I forget what the studio is that neither. It's all proprietary. It is whatever the engine they're using is what they've designed. They're not using, it's not going to help the ray tracing capability whether you're using NVIDIA versus AMD, because the code is not written for NVIDIA or AMD. It's written for both. It's their code that they develop for their ray tracing, which looks
turn right on
absolutely incredible. It's crazy how good it looks. We are not that close to Yacht Basin. No. My maps is telling me I need to turn here. Man, you're listening. This is just Geek Therapy Radio. This is how we
drive, then make a U-turn.
Yeah, I guess it's them. No, that's not it. That's a Yoda. And then make a U-turn. No.
1,000 feet, turn right onto West Lane.
That ain't them. They're not in Yacht Basin. That was too close. So anyways, yeah, Teardown, it doesn't use Unreal Engine, doesn't use anything like that. It's their own proprietary engine, and it's their own proprietary ray tracing and whatever. So when I play it on the Z1 Extreme, this is kind of where I'm going with this, ROG Ally. Everything about it is very customizable. So you can customize the TDP, you can customize all sorts of things on it, and I typically run it at 7 watts, which is, I believe, the lowest about you can go is running at 7 watts. That's going to run 99% of all the emulators. I'm going to run 7 watts, get all the battery life out of it, 720p, 60 frames a second, lock the screen, sync the screen to 60 frames a second. 7 watts. It runs very good battery life in that setup. Also, since you can tweak the TDP on the fly as needed, when I'm going to run something like Teardown doesn't run great on 7 watts. Bump that up to, it runs good at 10 watts. It runs great at 15 watts. 15 watts is the sweet spot for the ROG Ally. 15 watts is a sweet spot for a lot of the U chips, the APU chips, the 6080U, D840U, whatever, from AMD. 15 watts is like the butter mark. It can go all the way up to, I believe, 35 watts. I think it can go up to peak to 38 watts, really, which is insane inside of a handheld. But yeah, 15 watts is like that sweet spot where it's diminishing returns when you go to anything above 15 watts. You pretty much 90% of anything you ever want to do is going to run great at 15 watts. And then if you need the extra headroom, you can bump it up to 35, 38 watts, I think is the max. It peaks at 38 watts, but you can set the wattage all the way up to just to live at 35 watts, just keep it all the way cranked the whole time at 35 watts. I would do 28 to 35 watts or whatever if I'm going to be doing video editing sessions. I'd probably just leave it on automatic. You can bobber and just pull as much power as it needs. But yeah, so if I'm running something like an emulator, like NES emulator, I'm running at 7 watts. If I'm running Teardown, I'm going to bump it up to 10, 15 watts to have a smooth experience there. If I want an even better experience, I can bump it up to 35 watts, but it's kind of diminishing returns. If I want those extra few frames per second, you can do that for sure. But I typically keep it about 15 watts for playing a game like Teardown. Rocket League runs great at 15 watts. So it works beautifully as a workstation PC. The ROG Ally works beautifully as a workstation PC. If you can only buy one computer, and you want something that's going to fit the bill. Like, you're wondering if you can get a Windows gaming handheld and still be able to do real computer things with it. Absolutely 100% you can. The performance, let's say if this was a laptop for under $500. I mean, he said that he was able to find one for the equivalent of like $580 US, Z1 Extreme, 16 gigabyte, whatever. For under $500, the performance is on par, very, very close to, if not better than, a lot of other models. Like, if you're going to buy a laptop under $500, what kind of performance would you expect out of it? I bet you can get an 8-core, 16-thread, $500 laptop all day long with the same probably Ryzen 6800 or Ryzen 7840 chip in there, and you're going to get the same performance whether it's a handheld gaming PC or the laptop, as long as that chip in there is the same. The D840U, 6800U, Z1 Extreme, whatever. $500 for a gaming handheld for the ROG Ally is going to get you the same performance as a laptop of the same price point. So you can be a safe bet there. The drawbacks, of course, are going to be that you have effectively only the one Thunderbolt port on the top. There's an Oculink port also up there too if you want to hook up to an external GPU with even more bandwidth than Thunderbolt. But you are trading ports in I/O if you want to get a gaming handheld versus a laptop. Obviously, a laptop's going to have more USB ports, more Type-C ports. You're going to have maybe an SD card reader in there. But that's all kind of laptop stuff. So if you're okay with getting, not having those ports native on the system and just having one Thunderbolt port and an Oculink port, or OcuSync, whatever you call it, port, then gaming handheld. But as far as like using it as a daily PC, yeah, it's not as convenient as a laptop where it's a clamshell and you open it up and the keyboard's there. But why I love the Ally is that I can, like I said, I can plug it into my hub. I can plug it into my Thunderbolt hub, my Thunderbolt dock, and be hooked up to my multiple monitors and my keyboard and my mouse and my multiple hard drives and my NAS and all that. It functions beautifully. And then at the end of the day, all it is unplug the one cable and go kick it on the couch playing emulators. Same device, works everywhere, and it has great performance no matter what you're trying to do. Gaming on the couch, editing 4K video, ROG Ally handles it all. I cannot recommend it enough. And again, one of the main reasons, and this is kind of the end, well, I'll start wrapping up the podcast here because we're probably about to pull up. One of the reasons is that it's just so well suited everywhere, and the price is right. If this was $1,000, if it was a Z1 Extreme 16 gigabyte, whatever, 7-inch screen, 1080p, 120 hertz, whoop-de freaking do, but it cost $1,000. No, I would not say, I wouldn't necessarily not recommend the Ally if it was $1,000. I certainly wouldn't, but price wouldn't be the main, the only reason I wouldn't recommend it at $1,000. But it does help that it's not $1,000. It does help that you can get the Z1 Extreme ROG Ally for not too much more than a new Steam Deck and have many folds more power. I would not ask my worst enemy to edit 4K video on a Steam Deck. I'm not saying that it can't be done at all. I mean, I bet you, I've not tried to edit 4K video with a Steam Deck. I've not tried to use a Steam Deck as a workstation PC, but the GPU in there is not even half the power that is in the Z1 Extreme. Z1 Extreme, I believe it has 12 execution units, and I believe the Steam Deck has 3 or 4 tops. Maybe 6 tops. So the graphics card in the graphics part of the chip in the Z1 Extreme ROG Ally is 2 or 3 times more powerful than the Steam Deck. So you're not probably going to be editing 4K on the Steam Deck as nicely as you will on the ROG Ally. So the fact that you get all that power for not much more than a brand new Steam Deck. So a brand new Steam Deck is going to run you about the same as a used or a refurbished ROG Ally Z1 Extreme. Maybe it's $100 more. It's within $150 between a used ROG Ally Z1 Extreme and a brand new Steam Deck. You can get a brand new Steam Deck now. I think it's below $300. What is it? It's like $250, $260. You can get like the lowest tier refurbished Steam Deck last I checked, which is pretty cool. I mean, that's low enough now to make me be like, I'm kind of curious. I don't know when I'm going to play the Steam Deck or when I'm going to use it, how I'm going to use it, but it's cheap enough to like pique my curiosity to be, you know, 1 or 2 whiskeys deep, to be a few sips into a rum and coke, and see that thing in your Steam cart and like, maybe one more sip of this rum and coke and then I'll hit buy it now. That's the price of the Steam Deck. A used Steam Deck is now to that point where it's basically one rum and coke away from getting bought. This new version of Geek Therapy Radio, where I release these one-off podcasts kind of between the broadcasts, these are, I think they're going to lean just more towards like geek dad kind of stuff. And several of you have already come out of the woodwork when I posed the question, should I just make Geek Therapy Radio a podcast for geek dads? Because so many geek dads, fellow geek fathers out there, commiserate with the balancing act between family and your hobbies, that you obviously, if you have 2 kids or whatever, you're not going to have unlimited infinite free time to play video games or do crafts or art or whatever. You're gonna have to do a little bit better. You have to budget your time way more. Here's my experience. I'm going to commiserate with the geek dads a little bit. Here's what you think. Because I fell in the same kind of boat where I was like, all right, well, you see these commercials where like they put the kids to bed and then the parents are like dancing and eating Oreo cookies and just having a great time because now the kids are in bed and now they can dance and they can do their fun things and they can Netflix and chill and they can do play their video games or whatever. Yeah, that's not real. That's not real for long. This has been my experience to where, you know, I put Riker to bed and you think, all right, I'm going to just play video games all night long now. Now I have my free time back. Now, once you put your kid to bed, here's what really happens with most parents, I would imagine, because this is what happened for me, but I imagine my situation is not unique. And if you're a geek dad or a geek mom out there, let me know if I'm off or if I'm right on the money with this. But what happens when you put your kids to bed is you basically fall asleep yourself. Like, you're not necessarily looking forward to playing Sniper Elite 5 for 4 hours before going to bed. No, when Riker goes down and he falls asleep around 9 p.m., I've got enough energy to like maybe watch one episode of Shogun. And I'm probably falling asleep halfway through that. And a lot of times I'm not even picking Shogun because it's a lot of subtitles. It's Japanese and I'm so tired. I don't want to read text. If I'm going to Netflix and chill for an hour before bed, I'm going to put on like Workaholics or Sunny in Philadelphia or some show that I've seen 100 times before where I don't have to really watch or pay attention. And I will have my ROG Ally and I will play the emulators. I'll play Mario Golf. I'm always on Mario Golf. I'll be there for an hour after putting Riker to bed, put Netflix on, lay down on the couch ready to fall asleep, and maybe play Mario Golf. But really what happens after you put your kid or your kids to bed isn't like the commercials where mommy and daddy basically throw a rave. You put your kids to bed, half the time you're asleep next to your kid anyways. Like when I put Riker to sleep, I fall asleep with him. Like that, you're just so tired at the end of the day. The idea of, you might tell yourself, I'm gonna play PS5 for 4 hours tonight. Yes, I'm gonna put my kid to bed and I'm gonna have daddy time and I'm gonna maybe have my nightcap, maybe like a rum and coke like I mentioned or something. And I'm just gonna play video games for a few hours and go to bed. No, 90% of the time you are just about to pass out yourself. And that's just one of the kind of the roads we navigate as geek dads. Wouldn't trade it for the world. I would not trade having children for the world. Like some people might romanticize the idea. I just want to put my feet up whenever I want and play video games. Well, I did that for a long time, and it wasn't the cause of happiness any more than having a kid would be the cause of happiness. But I would say that in my experience, having children is much more fulfilling lifestyle than just, there's like too much freedom, I guess you could say sometimes when you're single and you don't even have a girlfriend, maybe you don't have a wife or whatever, that you think you have all this time but it kind of is like too much. Like I always say on the show, limitation breeds creativity. And sometimes not having all the time you want for your hobbies because you're taking care of kids, that limited time breeds creativity. that's the end of the podcast. We're pulling up on the side of the road here. I think we got some birds here in this tall grass. We're going to see what we see. But yeah, thank you for listening to this episode. I don't even know what to call these in between episodes. Thank you for listening to me ramble about the ROG Ally and birding and being a geek dad. If you enjoyed it, great. If not, whatever. If y'all listen to this podcast in an app where you can like rate it, if you're like listening to Apple Podcasts or Spotify or something that says rate this podcast, that'd be cool. If you like it, you can rate it. If you don't like it, you can rate it too. But I don't make that call to action very often anymore. Yeah, rate my setup, rate my podcast. So please do that if you want to. Other than that, yeah, thank you so much for listening. You are worthy of love. You're worthy of giving love. You're worthy of receiving love, and you're worthy of your own self-respect. I'm going to exit my minivan right here and see what the fuss is about with these birds in this kind of tall grass marshland. I should take a picture of where I'm at. I'm going to do that. In the podcast description, you will be able to find a link probably to Dropbox or something of where I'm at right now. I might record a short video to let y'all know and kind of see where I'm doing. Kind of put you in my shoes a little bit for this podcast of where I'm talking to you from. Anyways, all the good geek stuff, you're worthy of love, giving love, receiving love. I will talk to you in the next episode. Take care. Well, just another day and I'm waking up, but I'm feeling kind of shit, need to make a buck. Start to think a little greed will help me chase some of that green, but it all seems so distant cause I'm chasing other dreams. But then I remember mama told me, she said each day's a different drummer with a different beat. But he'll use the same old sticks and he'll find the same old stride. So bob your head and let it ride. Remember every day with the rising sun, to share your love with everyone. And think out every day with the setting sun, that you were able to love someone. Love this world, my shining sun. Now I'm on with all the words that mama told me. I'm gonna rock out of this life, not let it roll me. So I walk out of the door, cause I ain't a boy no more. Gotta go and win the bread, gotta keep the family fed. But that's all that I can do because I'm a man.